This is Seibu-Shinjuku Station, the starting point of the Seibu-Shinjuku Line. Seibu Railway is a major private railway company with lines in the Tokyo suburbs. The Shinjuku Line connects this station to Kawagoe Station. It is a core line along with the Seibu-Ikebukuro Line. While the Seibu-Ikebukuro Line has many through service trains to subways, the Shinjuku Line has no such through service. Also, while the Seibu-Ikebukuro Line underwent elevation and quadruple tracking relatively early, elevation on the Shinjuku Line is lagging behind. The previously planned quadruple tracking project was cancelled, so there are no quadruple tracked sections on the Shinjuku Line. I will introduce the elevation construction of the Shinjuku Line between Iogi Station and Seibu-Yagisawa Station. The target section is about 5.1 kilometers, 3.2 miles long. 4 stations, Kami-Igusa, Kami-shakujii, Musashiseki, and Higashi-Fushimi will be elevated. Kami-Igusa Station and Musashiseki Station will be changed from a structure with platforms on both sides of the inbound and outbound tracks to a structure where the inbound and outbound tracks sandwich the platforms. Furthermore, Kami-shakujii Station will be upgraded from a structure with 2 platforms and 3 tracks to 2 platforms and 4 tracks. Higashi-Fushimi Station currently has 2 platforms and 4 tracks, which will remain the same after elevation. Iogi Station and Seibu-Yagisawa Station at both ends will remain on the ground. This series of projects will eliminate 19 railway crossings. There is also a plan to improve urban planning roads that intersect with the tracks, and combining this with the elimination of crossings will make north-south movement more convenient. Project approval was granted in March 2024, and the project period is set until the end of March 2038 for railway-related business and the end of March 2040 for the accompanying road projects. The Shinjuku Line has a history of having its projects prioritized lower than the Seibu-Ikebukuro Line, despite having many railway crossings along the line. Factors include narrow roads along the line making land acquisition difficult, and the progress of quadruple tracking on the Seibu-Ikebukuro Line due to its subway through service plans. In 1987, a quadruple tracking plan between Kami-shakujii Station and Seibu-Shinjuku Station was announced for the Shinjuku Line. This plan was to provide express tracks 40 to 60 meters, 130 to 200 feet underground below the existing tracks to create quadruple tracks. Fares were raised to cover construction costs, and actual steps were taken, such as partial commencement of construction. However, construction costs soared due to the difficulty of passing railways at deep locations and the need for additional facilities due to legal revisions. The project was indefinitely postponed in 1995, as the profitability and cost feasibility declined due to downward revisions of passenger number forecasts caused by the collapse of the bubble economy and the declining birth rate and aging population. Licenses and other rights expired in 2008, and the plan has become a phantom. Tracks for local trains and others remained on the ground, so it is not a complete grade separation, but if realized, it would have been effective in reducing traffic congestion. Nearly 40 years later, the current plan, including Kami-shakujii Station, has begun. Other grade separation projects are also underway on the Seibu-Shinjuku Line. In the elevation of Higashi-Murayama Station, the outbound track of the Shinjuku Line was recently elevated, and the construction is reaching a major climax. Construction is also in full swing for the undergrounding of Numabukuro Station and the adjacent Araya-Kushimai Station, with tracks supported by temporary girders and the area below the stations being dug up. Compared to those, this elevation project is clearly delayed. Although the vision for elevation has existed since the 1990s, it only recently entered the priority development section of Tokyo's continuous grade separation project. Tokyo Metropolis prioritizes based on indicators such as traffic congestion caused by railway crossings, accident risks, and interference with emergency vehicle passage, and although there are many crossings in this section, there are many roads with alternative routes, so the congestion index was lower than in other sections, pushing down its priority. Moreover, during this period, big projects such as the elevation and quadruple tracking of the Odakyu Line and the elevation of the Seibu-Ikebukuro Line around Nerima were lined up. Since railway grade separation helps relieve traffic congestion through the elimination of railway crossings and has positive effects on urban development by resolving severance, it is usually led by local governments, with Tokyo Metropolis being the main body in Tokyo. Construction on other lines occupied the budget, so the budget for the Shinjuku Line could not be secured for a long time. Also, around Higashi-Murayama Station, multiple lines crossed at grade and traversed major roads, resulting in extremely long closure times for railway crossings. It was prioritized relatively early as a wide-area traffic congestion countermeasure for Tokyo Metropolis and Saitama Prefecture. Numabukuro Station and Arai-Yakushi-mae Station were also evaluated for their immediate effect of eliminating crossings on Nakano-dori Street and Kan-Nanadori Avenue, and urban planning decisions were made in the early 2000s, with construction currently underway. While there were many sections where land negotiations were easy for those projects, Tokyo Metropolis was cautious about this project because the section I am introducing contains many densely populated residential areas, which was seen as leading to increased costs and longer durations. I will look at the situation of each station I am introducing and the prospects for the elevation project in order. I have arrived at Kami-Igusa Station, which is closest to the starting point among the stations to be elevated. Only local trains stop at this station, and express or semi-express trains do not stop. Daytime local trains run approximately every 10 minutes. The inbound and outbound platforms are independent, and it is impossible to go back and forth within the ticket gates. People using the station must cross a railway crossing when going or returning, which is a factor that makes elevation long-awaited. However, there is a reason why the station cannot be improved under current conditions. That is the narrowness of the station. There are railway crossings before and after the platforms, and there is no land to build overpasses or underground passages. The width is only 5 to 6 meters, 16 to 20 feet, and it is not realistic to build them in the middle of the platforms. Because it is sandwiched between railway crossings and has almost no leeway, the platforms are just long enough for an 8-car train. The reason why only local trains stop at Kami-Igusa Station is that it is physically impossible to stop express and semi-express trains, which are mostly 10-car trains. The average number of daily passengers at Kami-Igusa Station in fiscal year 2024 was 18,819. It is 21st out of the 29 stations counted on the Shinjuku Line, and the smallest among the 4 stations to be elevated. The arriving train stops when the tail reaches the platform area and then opens the doors. There is only this much length for the 8-car train stop mark, and the driver must stop the train within this range. Although the roads and tracks intersect at a slight angle, the situation is almost the same for both inbound and outbound tracks. For inbound trains, the front part slightly protrudes from the platform, and the train stops at a position where the crew room door just fits on the platform. The situation is the same on the outbound side. This road has less traffic than the road on the inbound side, and the part interfering when extending the platform has been cut. From this guardrail, I can see that the platform is encroaching on the road and that the sidewalk was added on the outbound side from the building behind the sidewalk. Although it is not protruding from the platform, the tail of the train arriving at the inbound platform is covering the road. Also, to save space for installing the obstacle detection device at the railway crossing, the machine is housed under the platform. Hardship is reflected, such as drilling round holes in the steel frame of the platform foundation and partially cutting the white fence. Although the problem of the platform length being at the limit is dealt with by ingenuity in operation, more serious is the road situation around the station. The road where buses passed is the road on the inbound side of the station, but this place does not have a width that allows large buses to pass each other with room to spare. The left and right sidewalks are also narrow, and it is a width that makes it difficult for people to pass each other. The bus stop at Kami-Igusa Station is on the south side of the tracks. The Seibu-Shinjuku Line, which extends west from Shinjuku via Takada-Nobaba, has the JR Chuo Line running parallel to the south and the Seibu-Ikebukuro Line to the north. Because there is no railway connecting these lines in the vicinity, buses have a high presence for north-south movement. Lines going through Ojikubo and Asagaya on the Chuo Line, Shakuji Koen on the Seibu-Ikebukuro Line, and further through Oizumi Gakuen on the Ikebukuro Line arrive and depart, and buses run more than once every 10 minutes in both north and south directions. On the other hand, there is no organized bus rotary in front of the station, and it is a style of stopping on a road with traffic. At Kami-Igusa Station, a station square is scheduled to be built on the north side of the station. In constructing the elevated line, it is necessary to temporarily move the ground tracks to temporary tracks, and the square will be developed using the land where the temporary tracks were laid. Also, since the shadow of the elevated bridge will be on the north side, by providing a station square on the north side, the influence of the shadow can be avoided from reaching private land. In the relevant area, there is land already secured for business use, and there are places like parks and bicycle parking lots that seem to be able to use the land at any time if the project becomes full scale. However, such land is only a fraction of the total, and apartment buildings and the like are built on most of the places, so eviction negotiations are still ahead. The current platform is of a length that an 8-car train of 20-meter, 66-foot cars can barely stop. After elevation, it will be extended to 170 meters, 560 feet, and since a margin of 5 meters, 16 feet is secured before and after, the burden on drivers and conductors seems to be reduced compared to now. Since it is not a length where 10-car trains can arrive and depart, it is confirmed that only local trains will stop even after elevation. I head to the adjacent Kami-shakujii Station. On the outbound side of Kami-Igusa Station, Tokyo Metropolitan Road number 439 approaches from the right. It joins another road at a T-junction on the right of the railway crossing, and after crossing the railway crossing, it splits again at a T-junction. Therefore, cars concentrate before and after the railway crossing, and traffic jams tend to worsen. After elevation, a crossroad will be newly established near the site of the railway crossing, and by adopting a form where two roads intersect at one place, traffic congestion will be alleviated along with the elimination of the railway crossing. I have arrived at the next station, Kami-shakujii Station. A train depot is attached here. The train depot will also be elevated, but the scale will be reduced. About 9,100 square meters, 97,952 square feet, out of the current approximately 28,000 square feet, 301,389 square feet, will be the target of elevation. In the draft, it is planned to build 5 tracks between the inbound and outbound tracks and 2 tracks on the left side of the outbound tracks. It is a base that can accommodate up to 152 cars, but there has been no cars belonging here since 1997, and they belong to the Minami Iriso train depot or the Tamagawa Joshi train depot. From March 2013, train inspections were also abolished, and it seems that maintenance staff are not placed here, and it is a form of dispatching from other bases as needed. Because the roll is relatively small, it seems that there will be no major trouble even if it is reduced, and it seems that the place to leave the cars will be covered by other bases. Since elevation of a train depot is costly and tends to be a bottleneck, it is intended to reduce costs by reducing the scale. It is a structure with 2 platforms and 3 tracks, and the middle track is shared by inbound and outbound tracks. There are multiple stations with 3 tracks on the Seibu-Shinjuku Line, and there are cases where stations where inbound and outbound trains wait are different. There are no trains that turn back at this station during the day. As I took up in the beginning, Kami-shakujii Station will have a structure with 2 platforms and 4 tracks, allowing waiting and passing on both inbound and outbound lines. There is a roof with a structure that makes me feel the oldness on the inbound side of the platform. The width of the platform is not very wide even on the outbound side where the station building is, and the stairs occupy the full width. The stairs are a bit ragged and I feel the years of use. There are no escalators and barrier-free equipment is only elevators. There are 6 automatic ticket gates. Despite having an average of nearly 42,000 passengers per day, the equipment is a bit narrow. First, I head to the south exit. It has a solid look with a supermarket attached because express trains stop there. However, like Kami-Igusa Station, the environment in front of the station is not necessarily good. The place where the road swells to the southwest of the station is the bus stop. Although it is better than Kami-Igusa Station, which stopped by blocking the traffic lane, it is not something that can be called a rotary, and since it is right next to a railway crossing, it is a place to be careful of other vehicles. Buses heading to Nishi-Ojikubo Station and Kichijoji Station on the Chuo Line arrive and depart. The 2 systems start and end here, and it seems that they do not cross the railway crossing and go to the opposite side. They have set a route so as not to pass through the railway crossing that never opens and maintain the timetable. Because express and semi-express trains stop in addition to local trains, many trains slow down before and after the station, and the closure time of the railway crossing naturally becomes longer. Even if an outbound train leaves, the railway crossing does not open until an inbound train passes by, and both cars and pedestrians are held up until the railway crossing opens. And on the opposite side of the railway crossing, there is the bus stop at the north exit. This is a place that entered from the road and you can turn around inside. There are buses going to Oizumi-Gakuen Station and Shakujii Station on the Seibu-Ikebukuro Line, and there are also buses going to Narimasu Station on the Tobu-Tojo Line via Shakujii Station. Since it takes a lot of transfers and time if you go by railway from the Shinjuku Line to the Tobu-Tojo Line, buses are a strong ally. Also, most of these buses connect the north and south areas of the Seibu-Shinjuku Line. Are they suppressing the influence of the railway crossing that never opens by putting the buses crossing the railway crossing into the North Rotary? And on the information board in front of Kami-shakujii Station, the west side of the station is surrounded by a red line. In the case of Kami-shakujii Station, a north-south long traffic square is scheduled to be built here. In the vicinity, the plan for the Tokyo Outer Ring Road is currently underway. This is a road that circles a place a little away from the city center of Tokyo and aims to alleviate traffic congestion by suppressing the inflow of cars into the city center. And another urban planning road is scheduled to be built directly above the Outer Ring Road passing underground. The road is scheduled to have 2 lanes and a width of 22 meters, 70 feet, and it is a plan to create a traffic square along it. In the south of Kami-shakujii Station, there is a place where securing business land is progressing. However, this is the planned site of the interchange where the road comes out to the ground and buildings remain densely packed near Kami-shakujii Station and eviction negotiations are still ahead. Because it is a city center area with high convenience, there is concern that negotiations will be difficult. Also, although the scale of the train depot will be reduced, there is a plan to extend the end to the east to secure the length of the storage track. Consultations regarding eviction of residents in the target range and land lease are also necessary, and there are many points to be solved. On the other hand, the utilization method of the site of the reduced train depot is undetermined. Based on the vision of utilizing the vacant land as a complex regional base, aiming at improving convenience around the station and creating bustle, construction of commercial facilities, public facilities, and housing is being considered. And speaking of housing in station front redevelopment, it is a tower apartment. Since it is on the south side of the garage, the problem of shadows extending to the north can also be reduced, and there seems to be demand if it is a location near the station where express trains stop. On the other hand, adjustments based on the surrounding environment and residents' opinions are considered necessary, and tower apartments are just one option at the moment. While the price of newly built condominiums is rising, there are cases where redevelopment plans are returned to a blank sheet due to the surge in construction costs, and there is a possibility that a completely different plan will appear. I have arrived at the adjacent Musashiseki Station. Since semi-express trains stop at each station from Kami-shakujii Station on the outbound side, the platform of Musashiseki Station has a length that a 10-car train can stop, and there is a margin before and after. The whole is covered by a roof, and the facilities of the platform are quite substantial. I leave the station building and head to the south exit. A narrow road is stuck to the front, and there is no bus rotary. In addition to buses heading to Iogi Station and Midaka Station on the Chuo Line being operated at intervals of about 7 to 8 per hour, there is also a community bus connecting Kami-shakujii Station to Nerima Takanodai Station and Hoya Station on the Seibu-Ikebukuro Line. Also, because the surrounding railway crossings are slightly away from the station and the roads are narrow, buses do not pass through the front of the station depending on the route. Because some of those buses arrive and depart at the Musashiseki Station entrance bus stop about 150 meters, 500 feet away, convenience is low. The north exit is here. Except for the fact that there is a road with one lane on each side, it is full of narrow roads, and pedestrians, bicycles, cars, and motorcycles are mixed. And the station square of Musashiseki Station is scheduled to be built at this north exit. Although there is a little land that has become a parking lot in this range, most of it is buildings and apartment buildings. There is also a plan for an urban planning road on the outbound side of the station, and an access route to the station square is also scheduled to be developed. But like other stations, there are many people living and doing business, so it is imagined that land acquisition will be difficult. The last is here, Higashi-Fushimi Station. Originally, it was 2 platforms and 3 tracks, but it was renovated in March 1983 and changed to 2 platforms and 4 tracks. The station building on the tracks is one that started being used in accordance with that, and both the platform and the station building are spacious. The north exit is here. Unlike the stations so far, Higashi-Fushimi Station has a rotary of a size gathered north and south. In addition to taxi pickup, there is also a place to stop buses. From the bus stop at the north exit, buses heading to Kichijoji Station on the Chuo Line and Hoya Station on the Seibu-Ikebukuro Line arrive and depart. The stop also has a roof, and it is significantly different from other stations. The south exit is the same, and community buses arrive and depart here. There is still one point where Higashi-Fushimi Station is different from the others. The railway crossing on the inbound side of the station is the only one designated as an automobile bottleneck railway crossing in this elevation section. This is a railway crossing where the product of automobile traffic volume and railway crossing closure time is 50,000 unit hours per day or more. Conversely, while many other railway crossings are designated as railway crossings that never open, this place does not correspond to a railway crossing that never opens. Is it because there is an inbound train starting at the adjacent Kami-shakujii Station during the morning rush and the number of trains decreases? Conversely, cars may be concentrated because the time the railway crossing is closed is short, making it an automobile bottleneck railway crossing. At Higashi-Fushimi Station, the plan for a station square utilizing the existing rotary, etc., is scheduled to proceed. Also, in response to the north side where a road with one lane on each side extends straight, there is a plan for an urban planning road on the south side. Originally, the development around Higashi-Fushimi Station began with Seibu Railway inviting a private university. About 2 years before the railway opened, it offered a donation of more than 8,000 square meters, 86,000 square feet of land to the university, and succeeded in inviting an athletic field and started selling subdivisions at the same time as the station opened. A series of project costs are estimated at about 171 billion yen, $1.1 billion, and accurate figures seem to come out as the plan becomes concrete in the future. Furthermore, there is still a concern about this project. Elevation itself is an urban planning project based on the City Planning Act, and this time, Tokyo Metropolis is the project leader. Costs are shared by the national government, Tokyo Metropolis, local governments along the line, and railway operators. And the construction section spans Nerima Ward, Suginami Ward, and Nishi-Tokyo City. Since the formulation of urban planning projects requires deliberation by the cities and wards involved, coordination is indispensable when the project section spans multiple local governments. If the plan is changed in the future, additional procedures are necessary, which takes more time. While the project leader of elevation is Tokyo Metropolis, the development of station squares and bus terminals is led by wards and cities. In each station where a new station square is developed, the size is limited to reduce land acquisition costs, and it does not seem to be something where taxis and private cars can enter easily. Combined with the fragility of the surrounding road network, it is unknown whether it will improve significantly. Also, as roads supporting station squares, etc., the development of frontage roads of elevated bridges and urban planning roads is planned. Many buildings are built on the planned site, and there are concerns about prolonged negotiations and soaring construction costs in the meantime. Concerns also smolder in the Kami-shakujii train depot. Since this is the only place where a significant number of trains can be left on the city's center side of the Shinjuku Line, a certain level of function is necessary, but further reduction is also considered for saving project costs. By doing so, it may be a pattern often seen in redevelopment, such as twisting out land and recovering project costs with subdivided tower apartments. I will pay attention to the future of the elevation project that has just begun.